Welcome to Socratic Spark, where timeless wisdom fuels unstoppable motivation. Hey, we go beyond cliches and empty slogans. Inspired by the fearless life of Socrates, this channel is about questioning limits, conquering fear, and finding strength through truth. Over 2,400 years ago, Socrates stood against power, ignorance, and even death, with nothing but the courage to question. Today, his spirit still speaks. The unexamined life is not worth living. Join us as we transform ancient philosophy into modern power. Think deeper, live braver, rise stronger. Subscribe and let wisdom ignite your spark. The sun hung low over Athens, casting long shadows across the agora where Socrates stood, his weathered sandal planted firmly on the cobblestones. A crowd gathered, their murmurs a mix of curiosity and unease, as a young man, eyes bright with defiance, challenged the old philosopher. "What is justice?" the youth demanded, his voice sharp. Socrates, his face creased with a knowing smile, leaned closer, his question slicing through the air like a blade. "And what do you think justice is?" The crowd held its breath. This was no mere debate. It was a duel of souls. Here was a man who dared to unravel the certainties of the powerful, to expose the fragility of their truths. In that moment, Socrates was not just a teacher but a mirror, reflecting back the questions we all carry but fear to ask. His life, his trial, his death, they were not the end of his voice but its beginning. To stand with Socrates is to stand at the edge of your own understanding, daring to leap. Will you? The agora's dust still clings to Socrates' sandals, his voice echoing from that sunlit moment when he faced a young man's challenge with a question that cut deeper than any answer. He was no statue of wisdom, no cloaked oracle. Socrates was flesh and grit, his broad nose and plain face defying Athens' polished ideals. Yet in the bustling marketplace, amid merchant shouts and politicians' boasts, he wielded questions like a blade. What is justice? What is truth? Why do you live as you do? Each was a spark, kindling rebellion against a world that craves certainty over clarity. Why does Socrates speak to us now? We live in an age of clamor, endless opinions, viral half-truths, and beliefs we cling to without question. His maxim, "The unexamined life is not worth living," is a challenge to pause, to probe, to confront what we assume. Like that Athenian crowd, we face a world divided, quick to judge those who dare ask why. Socrates, tried for corrupting youth and defying gods, was condemned for exposing power's fragility. His hemlock was not defeat but defiance, a testament to truth's cost. To walk with Socrates is to court unease. His method, questions that peel back layers of assumption, reveals our ignorance, yet offers freedom. Admitting we know nothing opens a door to wisdom. His life lights our struggles, the pull of conformity, the fear of standing alone, the ache for meaning. Mocked, misunderstood, murdered, his voice endures, a mirror reflecting our unasked questions. This speech is no lecture, it's a journey. Step to the edge with Socrates, and emerge sharper, braver, truer. Let his questions guide us through the dark eye and the agora's fading light. Socrates faced a youth's bold challenge. What is justice? And turned it back with a smile. What do you think justice is? The crowd's murmurs stilled, sensing a duel not of swords but of souls. To question, for Socrates, was to risk everything, friends, status, life. Yet he, Athens' gadfly, stung the city awake, refusing to let it doze in unexamined certainties. In Plato's Apology, he describes his mission, to probe the wise until their ignorance lay bare. Poets, craftsmen, politicians, all faltered before his relentless why. This courage was no warrior's bravado but a philosopher's defiance, armed only with questions. Naiades called Socrates a turning point for demanding reasons over blind faith. Today, we stand in our own agora, social media, workplaces, homes, surrounded by untested dogmas. To question risks scorn or isolation, yet Socrates urges us, why do you accept what you're told? Why follow the crowd's rule? His courage is a call to stand at the edge of your beliefs and leap. Try it. Ask why of one conviction today. The discomfort is your soul waking. Socrates' questions, sharp as blades, cut through illusion to truth. As we move forward, Let this courage lead us to embrace the humility of our own ignorance. The agoras thus swelled as Socrates, with a single question, unraveled a young man's certainty. "I know that I know nothing," he declared, a radical spark in a world drunk on answers. In Plato's Meno, he guides a slave boy to geometric truth not by teaching but by questioning, showing wisdom grows where certainty crumbles. A politician's justice, a poet's beauty, all dissolved under his probing, revealing ignorance as a starting point of knowledge. This paradox is Socrates' gift. To admit we know nothing is to begin to know. Augustine echoed this, seeking truth through restless inquiry. Today, we clutch certainties, careers, beliefs, identities, rarely pausing to question. Socrates asks, "What are you sure of? Is your purpose true? Is your life yours?" Embracing doubt is a lantern in the dark, illuminating paths unseen. Try this. Question one assumption today. Your goals, your fears. Socrates' ignorance is a seed, sprouting wisdom in doubt soil. As we turn to his trial, we see this humility tested, where his questions face the ultimate judgment. The courtroom hummed, 501 Athenian jurors glaring at Socrates, his sandals still dusted from the agora. Accused of corrupting youth and impiety in 399 BCE, his real crime was truth. In Plato's Apology, he proclaims, "I shall obey God rather than you, choosing death over silence." His questions, what is justice? What is piety? Turn the trial on Athens itself, exposing society afraid of its own reflection. This was truth's trial. His accusers, Anytus and Meletus, stood for power, not principle. Socrates, armed only with conscience, showed truth is worth dying for. Arendt later saw him as resistance incarnate. Today, truth stumbles, lost in misinformation, silenced by fear. Socrates asks, will you speak truth, even when it costs you? Will you question power's demands? His trial teaches that truth is a pursuit, not a trophy. Ask why, and stand firm, as he did. As we explore the unexamined life, we carry this. To live truthfully is to live free. The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates declared in court, his voice echoing the agora's jewels. Picture him stopping a merchant. Why chase wealth? What profits your soul? In Plato's Phaedo, he insists life's worth lies in reflection. To live without questioning, desires, fears, choices, is to wander lost, a ship without a helm. We race through life, chasing unprobed goals, success, approval, ease. Socrates demands we pause. What is success if it hollows you? Aristotle built on this, tying the good life to virtue, not pleasure. Today, ask, does your work reflect your values? Are your choices yours? Examination is rebellion against drift. Start small, question one habit, one fear. Socrates' life shows reflection aligns us with truth. As we turn to virtue, we see this examination as a compass guiding us to the good. What steers you through chaos? In the Agora, Socrates asks a priest, what is holiness? Peeling back dogma with each reply. In Euthyphro, he shows virtue, goodness, justice, courage, as the soul's compass, not rules but knowledge lived at I.N. Gorgias. He argues a tyrant, rich, but unjust, is wretched compared to a virtuous pauper. Our world equates happiness with wealth, power with purpose. Socrates challenges, what guides your choices? Greed, fear, or virtue? To live virtuously is to choose integrity, aligning actions with your soul's truth. Try this. In your next decision, ask what serves your highest good, not fleeting wants. Socrates' compass points to meaning over ease. As we move to his legacy, we see how virtue lives in dialogue, the pulse of the philosophy. Socrates wrote nothing, yet his agora questions echo. His legacy is dialogue, seeking truth through shared inquiry. In Plato's Symposium, he spars with poets, each question sparking deeper thought. This method shaped philosophy, Plato's Academy, Aristotle's logic, our debates today. Dialogue demands listening, humility, courage to shift. In our divided world, where shouts drown understanding, Socrates' dialogue is a lifeline. Imagine him at your table. Why argue? To win, I'll learn. Try it. Ask questions, not assertions, in your next clash. Common ground may bloom. His dialogue lives in every why. We dare ask. Socrates' eternal dialogue urges us to question boldly, seek truth together. As we conclude, let his life and death call us to live this legacy. The Agora's shadow stretched as Socrates, with a knowing glance, asked the defiant youth, "Who are you?" Not your name, not your role, but the soul beneath your certainties. In that sunlit duel, he sought not answers but awakening. In Plato's Alcibiades, Socrates presses a young man to know himself, arguing that true wisdom begins within. To know thyself, he echoed the Delphic oracle, is to unearth the truth of your desires, fears, and purpose, a task as daunting as facing a jury of 501. Self-knowledge is no gentle mirror. It's a forge, burning away illusions. Socrates believed we live blindly, chasing shadows, wealth, fame, approval, without asking who we are beneath. Plato's Phaedo shows him urging disciples to examine their souls before death, for only self-knowledge aligns us with virtue. Thinkers like Montaigne, inspired by Socrates, called introspection the path to a good life. Today, we drown in distractions, screens, trends, noise, avoiding the question, who am I when no one watches? Try this. Sit alone and ask, what drives me? Fear? Love? Habit? The answers may sting, but they light the way. Socrates' self-knowledge is a map through the labyrinth of the self, guiding us to authenticity. In our world of masks, his call to know thyself is a rebellion against pretense. The Agora's crowd leaned into Socrates' question, what is wisdom? Silenced the youth's bravado. He exposed not just ignorance, but the danger of false wisdom, believing you know when you don't. In Plato's Apology, Socrates recounts his quest, sparked by the oracle's claim that none were wiser. He questioned poets, craftsmen, leaders, finding their certainty hollow. I am wiser, he said, because I know that I know nothing. This was no boast but a warning. False wisdom blinds us to truth. Socrates' defiance was a gadfly's sting, waking Athens from its slumber of self-deception. Philosophers like Popper, inspired by him, argue that progress lies in questioning what we assume. Today, false wisdom surrounds us. Pundits, influencers, dogmas claiming truth without proof. Socrates asks, what certainties do you cling to? Are they tested or merely comfortable? To defy false wisdom is to embrace doubt, to demand reasons over rhetoric. Try this. Challenge one truth you hear today. Ask, why is this so? Socrates' defiance is a shield against lies, a call to seek clarity that iron the Agora's fading light. Socrates' calm voice cut through the youth's defiance. What do you feel? Not death, not exile, but the loss of truth. This was Socrates' creed. In Plato's Crito, he refuses escape from prison, saying, no harm can come to a good man. Facing death by hemlock, he chose truth over survival, showing fear bows to integrity. His trial was not just Athens' judgment, but a testament to fearlessness rooted in principle. Fear drives us to conform, to silence questions, to shrink from truth. Socrates, the gadfly, teaches that true courage is not bravado but alignment with virtue. Orant saw in him a model of resistance, unwavering before power. Today, fear grips us, fear of failure, rejection, the unknown. Socrates asks, what holds you back? Is it stronger than your commitment to truth? Try this. Name one fear and question it. Is it real or a shadow cast by doubt? Socrates' fearlessness is a beacon, guiding us through terror to truth. As we explore the pursuit of the good life, let his courage inspire us to live boldly, guided by truth. The Agoras thus settled as Socrates asked, what is a good life? The youth's answer faltered, and the crowd leaned closer. In Plato's Republic, Socrates argues a good life is not wealth or power, but a soul aligned with virtue. We are not born to please ourselves, he taught, but to live justly, courageously, wisely. His question stripped away illusions, revealing that happiness lies in harmony within. This pursuit baffled Athens, as it baffles us. We chase fleeting pleasures, status, comfort, yet feel empty. Socrates' dialogues, from Gorgias to Phaedo, show the good life demands examination, virtue, and truth. Aristotle echoed this, defining happiness as a life of purposeful action. Today, ask, does your life reflect your deepest values? Are you chasing shadows or substance? Try this. Choose one action today that sows virtue, not ease. Socrates' good life is a journey, not a prize, a path lit by questions. His legacy calls us to live deliberately, to seek meaning over mirage. As we conclude, let this pursuit shape our lives, echoing the Agorist's timeless challenge. The Agorist's golden light bathed the crowd as Socrates, his eyes fixed on the defiant youth, asked, "What do you hear when you listen?" The young man, eager to argue, faltered, unprepared for a question that demanded not words but attention. In Plato's Symposium, Socrates listened to poets and lovers, not to win but to understand, his silence as piercing as his questions. For him, listening was no passive act but an art, a discipline of the soul. To know another, he implied, you must first hear them truly. His dialogues were not battles but bridges, built on the quiet act of receiving another's truth. Listening, Socrates showed, is a root of wisdom. In the bustling marketplace, he heard not just word but the fears, hopes, and contradictions beneath. This art transformed his debates into revelations, as Plato's Theaetetus shows him guiding the youth to clarity through patient attention. Philosophers like Gadamer, inspired by Socratic dialogue, saw listening as a path to shared understanding. Today, we live in a cacophony, tweets, posts, arguments, where shouting drowns out hearing. We defend our views, rarely pausing to absorb another's. Socrates asks, when did you last truly listen? To a friend, a stranger, yourself? True listening strips away ego, revealing truths we miss in our haste to speak. Try this. In your next conversation, pause. Hear the words, the tone, the silence. Ask a question, not to counter but to explore. Socrates' listening is a mirror, reflecting not just others but our own blind spots. In our polarized world, this art is a rebellion against noise, a call to connect. The Agorist thus swirled as Socrates' question, what is real? Cut through the youth's certainty like a blade. His smile was gentle, but his words were fire, burning away the illusions Athens clung to. In Plato's allegory of the cave, Socrates describes prisoners mistaking shadows for reality, chained to false beliefs. The unexamined life, he warned, is a life in chains. His mission was to shatter illusions about justice, power, happiness, by asking why, until truth emerged, raw and unadorned. Illusions comfort, but they bind. Socrates saw Athens worship wealth, status, and dogma, blind to their hollowness. His questions, as in Euthydemus, expose the sophist's empty rhetoric, revealing their wisdom as mere show. Nietzsche later hailed Socrates for dismantling false gods, though he wrestled with his relentless clarity. Today, we chase illusions, perfect lives on screens, success without meaning, truths we've never tested. Socrates asks, what illusions do you hold? Is your happiness real, or a shadow on the cave's wall? Try this. Question one belief you've never doubted, your goals, your fears. Probe until the illusion cracks. Socrates' questions are a hammer, breaking the chains of false certainty. This shattering is freedom, a step toward truth. The Agorist crowd held its breath as Socrates asked, what if you're wrong? The youth's defiance wavered, his certainty shaken by the old man's calm. Socrates thrived in uncertainty, declaring, I know that I know nothing. In Plato's Meno, he leads a slave boy to truth not by answers but by questions, embracing the unknown as a path to discovery. Uncertainty, for Socrates, was not a void but a canvas, a space where wisdom could take shape. Our world fears the unknown, craving guarantees in careers, beliefs, futures. Yet Socrates saw uncertainty as a gift. By admitting ignorance, he opened doors to insight, as Plato's Phaedrus shows him exploring love's mysteries through dialogue. Thinkers like Kierkegaard, inspired by Socrates, embraced doubt as a spark of faith and growth. Today, we cling to plans, dreading the unpredictable. Socrates asks, what if uncertainty is your teacher? Can you embrace the questions without rushing to answers? Try this. Face one uncertainty, your job, a relationship, and ask, what can I learn here? Socrates' uncertainty is a river, carrying us toward deeper truths. In a world obsessed with control, his embrace of the unknown is liberation. The Agorist's light faded as Socrates asked the youth, why do you live? The question hung like a star, demanding not an answer but a life. In Plato's Republic, Socrates argues that purpose lies in a soul aligned with virtue, not in fleeting pleasures. The good life, he taught, is one of justice, courage, and wisdom. His questions stripped away distractions, urging Athenians to live deliberately, not drift through existence. Purpose eludes us in a world of noise, careers, likes, endless tasks. Socrates' dialogues, as in Gorgias, show that true purpose is not wealth or fame, but a life examined and true. Aristotle built on this, tying purpose to virtuous action. Today, we chase goals we never questioned. Socrates asked, "What is your life for? Does it serve your soul or society's script?" Try this. Reflect on one choice today. Does it align with your deepest values? Socrates' purpose is a compass, pointing through chaos to meaning. His life challenges us to live intentionally, to question each step. As we move to the final keynote, let this purpose fuel our stand against conformity. The agora's murmurs grew as Socrates, undaunted, asked, "Why follow the crowd?" The youth's bravado crumbled, for Socrates' questions exposed the tyranny of conformity. In Plato's Crito, he rejects escape, choosing death over betraying his principles. "We must not care what the many say," he insisted, living for truth, not applause. His stand was a rebellion against Athens' herd, a call to stand alone for what is right. Conformity tempts us all, fitting in, pleasing others, silencing doubts. Socrates, the gadfly, stung his city awake, as apology shows him defying the jury's verdict. Hannah Arendt saw in him the courage to resist collective folly. Today, we face pressures to conform, on social media, in workplaces, in beliefs. Socrates asks, are you living your truth, or the crowd's? What would you stand for, even alone? Try this. Challenge one norm today. Speak up, question a trend. Socrates' stand is a flame, burning through the fog of conformity. His life dares us to live authentically, to question boldly. As we conclude, let his defiance inspire us to carry his questions into our world. The agora's fading sun casts a warm glow as Socrates, his eyes twinkling, asked the defiant youth, what is happiness? The young man's quick reply, wealth, honor, faltered under Socrates' probing gaze. In Plato's Symposium, Socrates explores love and joy, suggesting true happiness lies not in fleeting pleasures, but in a soul aligned with the good. The good man, he taught, is happy, for he lives in truth. His questions in that dusty marketplace were not made challenges, but invitations to seek authentic joy, a treasure buried beneath layers of illusion. Our world equates happiness with external gains, money, likes, status, yet Socrates saw these as shadows. In Gorgias, he argues that a life of virtue, not pleasure, brings lasting joy. Plato's accounts show him laughing with disciples, finding delight in dialogue, not possessions. Thinkers like Epicurus, though differing, echoed his call to seek deeper fulfillment. Today, we chase dopamine hits, scrolls, purchases, applause, yet feel hollow. Socrates asks, what brings you joy? Is it real or a mirage that fades with scrutiny? Try this. Pause today and reflect. What sparked true joy this week? A moment of kindness, a truthful conversation? Socrates' quest for joy is a lantern, guiding us through a world of false promises. His life shows that authentic happiness blooms in the examined soul, rooted in virtue. In a culture of instant gratification, his questions challenge us to seek what endures. The agora's crowd stirred as Socrates asked, are you free? The youth's confidence wavered, for Socrates' question pierced beyond chains to the soul's bondage. In Plato's Crito, he refuses escape from prison, declaring, I follow reason, not fear. His freedom was not in defying death, but in living true to his principles, unshackled by others' opinions. In that sunlit marketplace, his questions freed minds, urging Athenians to break the chains of convention and fear. Inner freedom, Socrates taught, is the soul's triumph over external pressures. In Apology, he scorns flattery to save his life, choosing integrity over survival. Philosophers like Spinoza, inspired by this, saw freedom as living by reason, not passion. Today, we are bound by expectations, algorithms, the need for approval. Socrates asks, who controls your choices? society's demands, or your own truth. His strength lay in questioning what enslaved him, a lesson for our tethered world. Try this. Identify one external pressure, work, social media, and ask, does this align with my truth? Socrates' freedom is a fortress, built question by question. His life dares us to live unbound, to choose courage over conformity. The agorist thus settled as Socrates, voice steady, asked, what is justice? The youth's bold answer crumbled, for Socrates' questions revealed justice as no mere law but a harmony of the soul. In Plato's Republic, he probes justice as a virtue, not a rule, asking why we act justly. The just man, he said, lives in balance, serving the good. His agora duels were not to win but to uncover justice's truth, humbling all who claimed to know it. Justice, for Socrates, required humility, admitting our partial view. In Euthyphro, he challenges a priest's certainty, exposing contradictions with gentle precision. Thinkers like Rawls, drawing on Socratic inquiry, sought justice through reasoned dialogue. Today, we cry for justice, on streets, in courts, yet often cling to our own rightness. Socrates asks, what is justice to you? Is it vengeance, or a higher good? His humility teaches us to question our assumptions, to seek justice with open minds. Try this. In a dispute, ask, what is just here, beyond my view? Socrates' justice is a scale, balancing truth with humility. In our divided world, his questions unite us in pursuit of the good. The agorist murmurs hushed as Socrates asked, what lasts? The youth, caught off guard, fumbled, for Socrates sought truths that endure beyond fleeting desires. In Plato's Phaedo, facing death, he speaks of the soul's immortality, rooted in its pursuit of eternal truths. The truth, he implied, outlives a body. His questions in the marketplace were anchors, grounding Athenians in what persists, virtue, reason, the examined life. Enduring truth requires resilience, a willingness to stand firm amid doubt or scorn. Socrates' trial, as Apology recounts, showed him unyielding, choosing hemlock over betrayal of truth. Philosophers like Kant, inspired by his steadfastness, sought universal principles through reason. Today, truths shift, trends fade, opinions clash. Yet Socrates asks, what truths do you hold that withstand time? Is your life built on sand or stone? Try this. Reflect on one belief. Does it hold under scrutiny? Socrates' resilience is a rock, unmovable by the tides of opinion. His life teaches us to seek truths that endure, to question until we find them. As we move to the final keynote, let this resilience inspire us to leave a legacy of truth. The agora's light dimmed as Socrates' final question lingered. What will you leave behind? The youth stood silent, for Socrates' life was his answer, a legacy of questions that outlived his hemlock. In Plato's Phaedrus, he speaks of planting ideas like seeds, growing in other souls. I am not wise, he said, but I spark wisdom. His dialogues, unwritten yet eternal, shaped Plato, Aristotle, and centuries of seekers, from Augustine to Camus. This legacy is not in books, but in the call to question, to live truthfully. Socrates' agora duels were gifts, igniting minds to seek beyond the visible. In our world of fleeting fame, his questions endure, asking, what legacy will you leave? One of truth or shadows? His life challenges us to inspire, to question, to plant seeds of clarity in others. Try this. Share a question with someone today. Spark a dialogue. Socrates' legacy is a flame, passed through centuries, lighting the examined life. His call dares us to live boldly, to question endlessly, to leave truth as our mark. As we conclude, let his voice echo, urging us to carry this flame forward. The sun dips below Athens' horizon, casting long shadows across the agora where Socrates once stood, his weathered sandals firm, his voice a blade. What do you think justice is? The youth's defiance melted, the crowd's murmurs stilled, and in that moment, a spark ignited, questions that burned through centuries, reaching us now. Socrates, the gadfly, was no statue of wisdom but a man of flesh and doubt. His broad nose and uncomely face defined the marble ideals of his city. Yet his questions, what is truth? Why do you live? Who are you? Were lanterns, lighting paths through the dark of human existence. condemned for those questions. He drank hemlock in 399 BCE, not as a defeated man, but as one who lived fully, fearlessly, truthfully. His death was not silence, but a shout, echoing in the agora of our minds, urging us to live examined lives. Socrates' core wisdom endures like stone. Ignorant is the seed of knowledge, for admitting, I know nothing, opens the soul to discovery. Virtue is the soul's compass, guiding us through chaos to the good. Justice, courage, wisdom over wealth or fame. Courage is living truthfully, standing alone against the crowd, as he did before 501 jurors. The examined life, he declared, is the only life worth living, a call to question every belief, every choice, every fear. In Plato's Apology, he tells us, the unexamined life is not worth living, a challenge as urgent today as it was then. Our world, flooded with noise, false wisdom, and fleeting trends, cries for his voice. We chase shadows, likes, status, comfort, while Socrates asks, what is real? What lasts? His philosophy is no dusty relic, but a living flame, warming us to authenticity, clarity, and purpose. To honor Socrates is not to memorize his words, but to embody his spirit. In the agora of our lives, workplaces, homes, digital squares, we face the same pressures he did, to conform, to stay silent, to accept untested truths. Yet his life offers a map. Question the dogmas that bind you. Why do you work? Why do you fear? Question the systems that demand your loyalty. Do they serve justice or power? Question yourself. Does your life reflect your soul's truth? His method, the relentless why, is a tool for liberation. Start small. Today, ask one question of belief you hold dear. Let it unravel. Let it sting. That discomfort is growth, the gadfly's sting waking your soul. This journey with Socrates leaves us at a crossroads. Will you drift, as the Athenian crowd did, clinging to illusions? Or will you stand, as he did, at the edge of your understanding, daring to leap? His legacy is not in temples or tomes, but in the questions we carry forward, the dialogues we spark, the truths we dare to seek. In a world that tempts us to sleep, Socrates is our awakening, a mirror reflecting our unasked questions, a compass pointing to virtue, a flame burning for truth. To live his spirit is to question boldly, to seek justice humbly, to face fear with reason, to find joy in the examined life. As the agora's light fades, imagine Socrates' final gaze, calm and piercing, asking you, what will you do with this one precious life? His voice lingers, not as a whisper but a challenge, timeless as the stars above Athens. Step forward, carry his questions, and live the truth you find, for that is the Socratic way, the only way worth living.